KC Joyner joins us with a look at the matchups to watch in this one. This one's a good one, KC. We got two upstart teams with second-year quarterbacks. Let's look at the quarterbacks and get your breakdown of both these guys. Carson Wentz, what he does really well, and how he's different from Jared Goff.
They're both, I tell you, one of the things they both do pretty well is throw vertical passes, because Jared Goff ranks 9th in the league in yards per attempt on vertical passes, and Wentz is 13th right now, but Wentz leads the league in vertical passing touchdowns. So, I mean, he's got 14 vertical touchdown passes. That's, for a second-year quarterback to do that, that's especially when you have to change over the receiving core, and the Eagles haven't exactly faced all cream puff defenses. They've had some pretty tough defenses. So I think they're both good vertical passers, but Wentz relies on vertical passing more.
Obviously these guys have been very key in the resurgence of these two franchises. But what about Sean McVay and what he has done to kind of put the Rams on the map?
Yeah, I remember last year everybody was looking at Goff and thinking, boy, the Rams screwed up that one. They're thinking that he's a bust of a pick. And, I mean, he looked terrible at the end of last year, but you get a good offensive coordinator. And what McVay did, the biggest thing he did was get the offensive line set, because they were a very inconsistent offensive line last year. And that might even be a nice phrase. He probably used worse phrases than that. But this year I did some grades for ESPN's Insider section for offensive lines and had the Rams graded as the top offensive line at midseason. They've dropped off a bit since then, but you're still talking one of the top 5 to 10 offensive lines, probably top 5 offensive line. And when you give a quarterback Todd Gurley and you give him Watkins, now you give him Woods, and you start giving him receivers and you give him good blocking, it suddenly makes everything different.
And they do have a lot of talent out there because they haven't been very good. They've been drafting a lot of guys, and now you're starting to see them prosper from that. Let's look at the Rams offense versus the Eagles defense first, KC. The Rams offensive line versus Eagles defensive line. Eagles defense, we know, tops against the run in the league, but showed a little vulnerability the other night against the Seahawks.
Yeah, they did. They still ranked tops in the league in my good blocking rate metric over the past 6 weeks. That's how often they allow an offense to give their ball carriers quality run blocking. So that's a big positive. Here's something about the Rams, a very surprising number. Over the past 6 weeks, I mentioned that midseason they ranked as the greatest offensive line, the best offensive line in the league, and partly because they were leading the league in good blocking rate. Since then, the Rams are giving their ball carriers good blocking 37.1% of the time. That ranks 22nd. I have a feeling they're going to have to ask Goff to win this game, because the blocking I think their line is a lot better than that, but it's been trending downward. This is a tough matchup for them.
Their wide receivers, it looks like the old Buffalo regime out there. Watkins and Woods, if Woods ends up playing, which it looks like he could, against the Eagles secondary, which, surprisingly has been very good. We were talking yesterday, Casey, on the show that even if Sidney Jones is healthy, we don't know who would be the guy that would be replaced. So how about the Rams' vertical game against the Eagles secondary?
Watkins has great vertical numbers. He's 6 receptions of the past 3 weeks. It's been like 3 catches, 2 catches, 1 catch. They really haven't been throwing them all. But when he does get it, he's hitting big plays. He's catching long pass touchdowns. So that's what they need out of him. You mentioned Woods could come back. Their best receiver, though, might be Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp has caught 6 passes in 4 straight games. He's that consistent, and he's not just an Amendola type or an Edelman type where he just catches passes underneath. He's not really a vertical receiver, but he's got more downfield ability than those guys. So, and this is an offense that has a lot of play. And Josh Reynolds too. Keep an eye on him, because he's their number 3 receiver, and he's got some talent too.
You look at that Rams offense. Are they a running team, a passing team, a balanced offense? How do you define what McVay does out there? They use the screen game a lot. Gurley gets involved. So when you look at their identity on offense, what are they?
That they're a running team. They have the old, we like to power run or pass to get the lead and power run to win. That's what they like to do. They will pass to get the lead, but I think that they want to run the ball more frequently. I don't think they want to lean on Goff. I don't think they want to make a pass-first offense. I think that McVay just realizes that if you do that, you're setting yourself to be a one-dimensional team. So he's not letting himself get away from that. But the way they developed all the receivers and such, they've got a multifaceted offense. I wouldn't call it quite as multifaceted as the Eagles, but it's pretty darn close.
KC Joyner is with us. The matchups to watch in this one. Flip the script. Look at the Eagles' offense against the Rams' defense. The Eagles' run game was not at its best against Seattle the other night. Aaron Donald, a beast. He's kind of a guy who can change the game. So how do you like the matchup, Eagles' run game against the Rams' run defense?
Well, the Eagles over the past 6 weeks, they ranked third in good blocking rate, and they were, I believe, fifth in that analysis at midseason that I did, which, by the way, I will be revisiting that after Week 17. I wouldn't be surprised to see Eagles pass the Rams because they've been run blocking so well of late. The Rams' defense, though, against the run, Donald's fantastic. I can't say anything bad about Aaron Donald. He's just a phenom of a player. But over the past 6 weeks, the Rams ranked 19th in good blocking rate allowed, 26th in good blocking yards per attempt. Every time the other team gets a good blocking run, they're allowing 8.8 yards per carry, and that gives them a 3.8 yard total in my good blocking productivity metric. It measures overall rushing production, which is 28th. So really the Rams' rush defense is doing very badly right now. Would not be surprised to see Eagles lean on their ground game.
So that's an area where the Eagles can take advantage. How about Wentz in the passing game? Looks like they're going to get Ertz to play in the game with the concussion, but how can they move the ball through the air against the Rams' secondary and pass defense?
I don't think they want to go up to throws. Obviously the Eagles throw a lot of vertical passes, and I mentioned that Wentz leads the league in vertical touchdown passes. But when I grade out the secondary for the Rams, I grade out their free safety as being a red-rated free safety, which means you're not going to. Red is bad or red is a bad matchup. Yellow is a good matchup for an offense, and green is a great matchup. So it's a matchup they don't want to go on. So I would be surprised if they throw a lot of vertical passes. You're still going to have to throw some vertical passes. The thing is, though, none of their cornerbacks are people you really have to avoid. Tremaine Johnson, Kayvon Webster, N'Keal Roby. I mean, they're good. They're not great. There's nobody you say, okay, I can't throw in his direction. And even their strong safety, which is probably going to be John Johnson, it looks like he's yellow rated too. None of these guys are really anybody you want to avoid except the free safety.
Well, it's funny because under Fisher, they were a pretty good defensive team, just lousy on offense. But it seems that their defense is still pretty good, but not as good as they were under Fisher. If they could somehow morph those two together, they would really be something special.
If I'm them right now, the way the run defense is playing, I would think if I'm the Rams, I want to try to slow the game down. I don't want to have this potentially get into a shootout because, again, if your run defense is not playing well and the Eagles' run defense is playing well, you're a one-dimensional offense and Philadelphia could be a two-dimensional offense. So if I'm the Rams, I really want to make sure I slow the game down, but I don't know that they'll be able to do that.
Where's the matchup that you like, that gives one team the advantage over the other?
I really think the Eagles' offensive line against the Rams' front seven, because, again, Donald's a really good player. You got to account for him, but their front seven has been playing very badly. I think that the Rams are going to have to bring safeties into the box to stop the run, and when they do, it's going to allow Wentz to counterpunch or vertical passes. I think if the Rams can't win that front seven battle on defense, they don't win this game.
All right, KC Joyner with us here. The matchups to watch for Eagles and the Rams. Let's take a look at the other key matchups this week in the NFL, and there's about 5 really good matchups. How about last night? What did we see from New Orleans? They lose the game, but they lost Kamara in the game. It shows you how important he was to that team, but can't count out Atlanta now.
No, can't count out Atlanta. Definitely the officiating last night was quite the headache, but I think it says
hit repeat on that one.
Yeah, big time. I think it says about New Orleans that, again, with Kamara out, they became a different team, and he's such an impact player. It's hard to replicate what he does. So I think they need to come up with a plan B in case he gets hurt, because if it happens now, if the concussion now, hey, you got 7 weeks left, it could happen again.
That was fun. It should be a fun stretch of home field advantage games and the 6 wild card spot, the 2 wild card spots. All these games, the final 4 weeks, should be a lot of fun between those NFC South teams, Seattle. We'll certainly be breaking them down here with Casey. Let's look at some of the games this week. Indy and Buffalo. Buffalo's still in the thick of the AFC race. They've been so hard to read this year. How do they match up with the Colts?
Yeah, the Colts have actually been stopping the rush very well. They rank near the top of my rush defense metrics in my ESPN Insider article this week, and I think that Buffalo's going to have some problems. I think they still win, but wouldn't I be surprised to see Shady struggle?
Cincinnati blew a game on Monday. Now they're going to come back against a pretty bad Bears team here. Marvin Lewis could be coaching some of his final games with the Bengals as he get a W in front of the home fans.
I think the team is going to step up for him. I think that his players still have a lot of respect for him and like him a lot, even though this probably is his last go-around. So, and Chicago's such a limited team, I think that Cincinnati wins this one.
Green Bay, they have slim playoff hopes. They hope to get Rodgers back for the final couple games. They're going to Cleveland, who hasn't won a game. They fired their GM. They hired their GM in the same day. Have you ever seen that before? Can Cleveland snap the streak and get a win?
Yeah, I think they probably obviously knew what they were going to do before they did it, so that doesn't say that's good things. But if you go, hey, you win one game in 27 or 1-27, that's you're probably going to lose your job. For Green Bay, the run blocking has actually been very good. I think they can find a way to move the ball enough to win this contest and be in contention that Rodgers gets back.
What have you thought of Hundley?
That he should be a third-string quarterback at best. He's just he's not the quarterback that he was at UCLA, and maybe Green Bay's just not letting him do enough things. But if you have to limit your offense as much as they have, it says that he's just not the guy. They need another plan long term.
Oakland's going to Kansas City with the AFC West kind of at stake here between them, the Chargers, and the Raiders, the Chiefs. So this is a huge game in the AFC West. To the Chiefs, stop the slide, for God's sakes.
If I had to put a composite rating together for teams to say how good your offensive line and defensive front sevens were, if you combine the two numbers together, Kansas City is probably the worst in the league because their run blocking is terrible. Their pass blocking hasn't been good. They can't stop the run. They're not getting a pass rush. I mean, they're really not doing anything on either side of the line of scrimmage that would make you think they're good. So I think the Oakland wins this game.
Dallas going to New York. They're going to go back to Eli. Dallas has to play another couple games without Zeke Elliott. They're still in a slim wild card. So this is a big game for the Cowboys if they want to remain in contention, but the Giants are going to get Eli back.
Yeah, I do for that ESPN blocking article. I do that measures run blocking, pass blocking for all the matchups for the next week, and the Cowboys had the best pass blocking matchup this week. Their pass blocking hasn't been great, but the Giants' pass rushing has been just abysmal. They can't get that pass at all. Plus, Giants can't stop the run either, so you can't do those things. I think Dallas is going to get a formula win.
Detroit's got slim playoff hopes. Tampa's season's been a disaster. We could see the end of Dirk Cutter down there. So can Matthew Stafford go on the road and keep their slim playoff hopes alive?
Tampa is such a bad defense, and they don't stop the run well either. And Detroit has shown last week. I mean, they brought in Tion Lewis. They've got really three backs, maybe even four if you count Zach Zenner as guys they could possibly say we can rotate in to get our run game going. They're going to need that because of Stafford's hand injury. But I think Tampa's such a limited team on defense that I think if it gets in a high-scoring game, Detroit wins it.
Big game here. Minnesota with the home field advantage at stake here in this one. Them and the Eagles still tied at the top, but Minnesota has the tiebreaker. They're going to Carolina, and Carolina still playing for a playoff berth. They're playing to keep pace with the Saints here. So, in Carolina, they had a home game against the Eagles earlier in the year on that Thursday night. They couldn't pull that one off. They get another shot at one of the league's best. Can Carolina go with one of the NFC heavyweights?
One of the more surprising metrics in that ESPN Insider article I mentioned, Minnesota's rush defense. The past 6 weeks, they ranked 28th in good blocking yards per attempt allowed. They're also not getting after the passer very well because they ranked 20th in quarterback contact rate. I mean, there's just a number of metrics where their front seven is not playing as well as it used to. And Carolina's run blocking, by the way, they're best in the league in good blocking rate and good blocking productivity of the past 6 weeks. I think that gives Carolina the edge.
Garoppolo, is he the future in San Francisco going against Houston, who lost their future quarterback earlier this year?
I think Garoppolo it's going to be. He's already got a connection with Goodwin. They've got a solid running game. There's a lot of things that they can do well there, and that team believes in him, which is a huge factor. So I still think Houston probably wins this one, but Garoppolo is. I think he's going to be. Sky's the limit.
Jets are heading to Denver. Denver season. I think Joseph might be one and done out there, and the Jets have. Bowles could be in contention for the Coach of the Year.
Hey, they could. And Denver, by the way, I mean, the John Elway is implying that the team went soft. Who would ever thought that Denver, especially on defense, you would think that? Because I just downgraded their cornerbacks. I mean, and you're talking these guys are some of the best cornerbacks in the league with Talib and Harris and Roby. I still downgraded the cornerbacks because they're just, it's not, maybe it's the lack of a pass rush because their pass rush stinks. But, this is no longer a passing attack that cannot be stopped. Word for the Jets a little bit, though, if Robbie Anderson banged up. It looks like he's going to play, but he's been legitimately questionable all week. If he's at full speed, I think the Jets would win this one. But if he's not at full speed, I think Denver can pull out.
Tennessee and Arizona. Tennessee has not been the same team on the road that they are at home, but they are first place in the AFC South. They need this game.
I like what their coach did last week. He said, I have two starting running backs, and suddenly DeMarco Murray starts to run a whole lot better than he did, and Henry runs off that 75-yard run. So I think now that because they've entered competition in the backfield, it gives them that's going to be a dynamic that's going to help this team down the stretch. I think Tennessee wins that one.
Adrian Peterson, John Brown out in the game for Arizona. Washington's going to the Chargers. Chargers been on fire. Rivers, Allen, Gordon, one of the best triplets in the league. Washington went on the road and won in Seattle, so why shouldn't they be able to go to L.A. and beat the Chargers?
Who do they have that can stop Keenan Allen? 3 games in a row with 10 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. First player in NFL history to do that. The Pro Football Hall of Fame just showed up the jersey that they got from last week for setting that record. They've got him. They've got Gordon. I mean, right now, Rivers is throwing for 300 yards and almost 3 touchdowns every game for the past 3 games. I just think Washington, they're so banged up, I don't think they can keep up.
Good game here. Seattle going to Jacksonville. Seattle played, pretty well on Monday night, but it was really the Russell Wilson show. Jacksonville's got a great defense. Their offense is a mess with Bortles. This one should tell us a lot about Jacksonville. Can they win at home and keep pace in the AFC South and really that AFC playoff field against Seattle?
If Russell Wilson plays anywhere near as good as he did against Philadelphia, if he goes down to Jacksonville and does that, just give him the MVP now. Just don't even bother having. You don't need any more votes after that because the Seattle's pass blocking. They're 30th in pass pressure rate allowed over the past 6 weeks. I mean, they're pass blocking terrible. You would never know it because just how well he's playing. I think that's going to be kind of factored even Jacksonville can't beat, and I think Seattle wins that one. But, be a good test for Jacksonville's defense.
Little black and blue, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Baltimore playing for wild card, Pittsburgh playing for home field.
Did you see the reports of the Pittsburgh locker room this week where the players were mad that the way Smith-Schuster got suspended? They're angry at a bunch of things. There was a reporter who said they showed Mike Mitchell's rant about how Cadell and the league and just how mad he was at the not playing football. One reporter said you should have seen the other 2 guys in the locker room. Everybody in this locker room was mad. That's perfect for Pittsburgh. You're mad before the Baltimore. You're mad and you got Baltimore coming into town this week and New England next week. That's exactly where Pittsburgh wants to be. So I think they win.
Then we got the Monday nighter. It's New England and Miami. New England playing for home field as well. Miami. Their season's been kind of a mess, since the start. I mean, they had to go on the road, and play that game against, or they missed the first week of the season against Tampa, and really from them, they never really got in a rhythm this year. But New England playing for home field.
Yeah, and New England, by the way, right now, they're running the ball a lot more effectively. They're 7th in good blocking rate over the past 6 weeks. Miami, 25th in good blocking rate allowed, 30th in good blocking yards per attempt, dead last in good blocking productivity. I think New England leans on the running game. I don't think they want to have Brady throw 40 passes. I think they're going to keep him to 25 to 30 and just have him throw when they need him to throw and keep him rested up. So I think that with the way New England's blocking, that'll be good enough for them.
Ladies and gentlemen, Week 14 of the NFL. That's your matchups there. KC Joyner, ESPN.com. NFL Insider with the matchups to watch in all of this week's matchups, including the Eagles and the Rams. And in that game, you like?
Eagles by a touchdown. I don't think it'll be a double-digit win, but Eagles by a touchdown. I think the Rams, the way their defensive front 7 is playing, it's just not going to hold up.
Coverage of that game begins at 1 o'clock here with the countdown to kickoff on 97.3 ESPN. Merrill and Mike at 4:25. He's KC Joyner. He'll be back on Monday at 5 o'clock to break down the Eagles game and recap all of the Week 14 action. Have a great weekend, my friend.
Appreciate you, too.